Today we'll go ahead with the new chapter of the history, that is the British conquest of India. In this chapter we are going to cover the intensive rivalry among the trading companies, causes and impact of the Battle of Plassey. The discovery of sea route to India by the Vasco da Gama in 1498 led many European traders to form companies to trade with India and the rest of the East. By the 18th century, Britain and France had emerged as the two major European powers in India. Each wanted to get rid of the other and gain sole control over the lucrative trade with India. Several wars were fought between the British, the French, and numerous independent rulers and their vassals in the mid-18th century. These wars were mainly conflict to the areas dominated by the Nizams of Hyderabad. In the 18th century, the coastal Carnatic region was the dependency of Hyderabad. So these wars are known as the Carnatic Wars. Though Carnatic was commercially important region, but political condition was unstable. Hyderabad, Carnatic and Mysore were engaged in constant conflict with one another. French and British took advantage of this disunity. The Indian rulers were anxious to obtain the military support of the rival European companies in order to advance their own interest against each other. Robert Clive inflicted a series of crushing defeats on the French by the end of the Third Carnatic War in 1763. The French were left with only Pondicherry and Chandernagor, but they were not allowed to fortify these places. The French lost the struggle against the English for various reasons. Here we are going to discuss about those. Superiority of British naval power helped them to bring soldiers and resources from Europe very easily. The lack of naval strength of the French compared to that of English was one of the decisive factors for the failure of the French in India. The trade carried by the British East India Company was far greater than the French Company. The superiority in trade has naturally made the financial position of British was far better than that of French. The British government interfered in the affairs of the company only when it was necessary to secure the interest of its shareholders. Thus, while the English company moved with its own initiative and with the moral support of the government at home, which interfered only to help it, the French company was a government enterprise which could only move under government's directives and assistance. In the 18th century, India, the flourishing province of Bengal, attracted many traders. The Dutch, the French, and the English set up their trading stations in Bengal, leading to flourishing industries and commerce. Alwardhi Khan became a Nawab of Bengal in 1740. The province of Bengal included present-day West Bengal, Bangladesh, Bihar, and Orissa. In the 1770, the British secured a farman from the Mughal Emperor Farrukh Shah to conduct trade without paying taxes to the government in Bengal. In addition, they also had the power to issue free dastak or passes so that their goods could move freely throughout the Bengal. These trade concessions increased the prosperity of the British traders, who became very rich and wealthy. This farman, however, became a major source of conflict between the company and the Nawab of Bengal, as it meant a huge loss of revenue for Bengal. The Nawabs of Bengal, Murshid Qali Khan, Sawjauddin, Alwardhi Khan, had opposed the English interpretation, the Royal Farman of 1717. Alwardhi Khan warned the company officials trading privately to pay or completely lose their rights to trade in Bengal. Much against the wishes of the Alwardhi Khan, the British began to fortify Fort William and their factories in Calcutta. The Nawab was unable to stop this, and after his death, his successor Siraj-ud-Dowlah took immediate steps against the British. He marched to Calcutta and occupied Fort William in 1756. Robert Clive, on reaching Calcutta from Carnatic, handled the situation. using his military strength and political shrewdness, and Fort William was recaptured in 1757 and many rights were restored to the English, with trading privileges in Bengal and fortification of Calcutta. That was a time before the Plassey, Battle of Plassey. The early 18th century, the conflict between the company and the Nawabs of Bengal intensified after the death of the Aurangzeb. Bengal Nawabs asserted their power and autonomy as other regional powers were doing that time. Murshid Qali Khan, followed by Alwadi Khan and the Sirajdola as the Nawab of Bengal. Each one of them was a strong ruler. The company was compelled to accept their authority of the Nawab in the matter, but its servant trading privately continued to defy authority. As I said before too, Alwadi Khan warned the company officials trading privately to pay or completely lose the rights to trade in Bengal. The English refused to comply as they felt much stronger with their victory against the French in the Carnatic War. They had also recognized the political and military weakness of Indian states. Sirajuddaula allies with the France, where East India Company was getting great support from the Great Britain. The Battle of Plassey was fought between the English forces and the Nawab's army on 23rd June 1757 in the field of Plassey. The British ambition went further. They conspired with some nobles, the Bengal court, to replace Sirajuddaula with a puppet Nawab, Mir Jafar, the commander of Nawab's army. Mir Jafar was lured into supporting the British with promise of future kingship. The armies of the English and the Nawabs met at Plassey, that is in Bengal, in 1757. Mir Jafar agreed to pay a British large amount of money and trading privileges. With these arrangements in place, the English presented Sirajuddaula with a list of impossible demands which made war inevitable. When Sirajuddaula discovered Mir Jafar's betrayal, he realized his defeat was imminent and tried to flee. Siraj was captured and put to death, and Mir Jafar was appointed as a new puppet Nawab. There were many causes of Battle of Plassey. Like British were misusing their rights by selling dastaks, fortification, humiliating the Nawabs and his officials, and Bengal was losing huge amount of revenue. Refusal of British to stop fortification, capture of Chandranagar as a French center, captured the Calcutta by the Nawabs, and Black Hole tragedy. Conspiracy was one of the important causes of the Battle of Plassey. Mir Jafar was proclaimed Nawab of Bengal by the British. The Battle of Plassey marked the beginning of political supremacy of the English East India Company. The British were not just traders now. They had made the Nawab a puppet in their hands. The security and the position of the Nawab now depended largely on the British. The Battle of Plassey was of great significance as it secured the position of the British in Bengal and marked the beginning of the establishment of British rule in India. It also put an end to dreams of the Dutch and the French to establish an empire in India. The English company officials were also paid high amounts of bribes by the puppet Nawabs. Thus, the Battle of Plassey transformed the British East India Company from a trading company to the political power, and the battle paved the way for the establishment of British rule over Bengal and eventually the whole of India.